Hey, hope you're doing well. I don't really know how to start these videos, and it's my first time, so let's just go straight to business. I don't want to sound like an NPC or anything like that. I've got a bunch of Reddit stories today, crazy Reddit stories, and we're gonna read them together today. Actually, I'm gonna read them. You're just gonna listen to me. And while I do that, I'm gonna be playing Minecraft. So I've created this world like 3 days ago, specifically for this channel, and I still don't got a house to live in, which is criminal. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today while I read the Reddit stories. I'm gonna be building myself a beautiful home, and I'm pretty sure that in the end, it's gonna look amazing. So let's go. All right, no more wasting time. Let's start with these Reddit stories. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna start off with a banger just for the title. So sit down, lay down on your bed, and get ready. My pregnant wife cheated on me. Ooh, okay. My pregnant wife, 39 years old female, that's good to know, cheated on me, 43 years old male, while I was taking our two kids camping. She let him come inside her and did things that she would not do with me. Bro, there is no way the story just starts off like that. I was not ready for this. Oh my god. I was not ready for this. When I read she let him come inside, I was thinking about the house. Like, she let the guy come inside the house. No, no, that's not it. She let him come inside her and did things that she would not do with me. Oh my god. Okay, what the fuck do I do now? I sure as shit do not want some other man raising my kids. My world is blown apart. It is a guy she works with, and they work for her dad. She was trying to get me out of the house on weekends, claiming that she just needed girls' days, and that after the pregnancy, she will be back to normal. She came home one day from work and asked for an ice pack to put on it, and said it helped relieve the pressure. Okay, so I would assume that it is the belly or the flower, if you know what I'm saying, right? So it doesn't clarify here, and I might be too dumb for that, but she asked for an ice pack to put on it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like the belly or the china, right? What the fuck did I just say? Okay, let's keep going. I took my kids camping on Friday and we returned on Saturday, and she kissed me and said that she loved me and missed me. Okay. When I saw her without clothes on, she had this massive bruise right above her vagina. It was as big as a baseball and purple. Oh my god, what the fuck? I have no clue where that came from, and she says she doesn't either. She said he turned her around, facing the wall, and he was behind her fingering her, and that was on a Thursday. What? This bruise was there on Sunday, so I don't know where it came from or what it was. But it was a very big bruise. Bro, I'm so confused. Like, what do you mean she said he turned her around and started fingering her? Like, did she admit to you that she was cheating on you and you didn't care? Like, this is just so confusing. It's flabbergasting though. It's like it's crazy. But it's like it's kind of not really well written. Okay, let's just continue. She wouldn't tell me who it was when I already knew. So I put a voice recorder in her car. Ooh. And finally got them on tape saying that she would see him on Monday. And he said one day we won't have to say that. And then she finally admitted who it was after that. Okay. So we put a tape on her car and finally found out that she was actually cheating on him. Okay. I'm just blown away. Okay, so let me get this straight. You found out she was cheating on you because of the bruises on her vagina? She admitted that the guy who she was cheating on you with turned her around and fingered her? That's why she had the bruises? What? But before that, when you wasn't sure if she was actually cheating on you, you put a tape on her car? You found out she was because you heard them flirting? And then, after you confronted her with all the situation, she said she would rather die than tell you who she was cheating on you with, that it was an old friend from school, bro.
Holy shit. What the fuck?
No, this is actually too much for me, bro. I was expecting some more chill stories. Okay, man. Let's go to the next one, I guess. Am I wrong for reporting my neighbor's dog to HOA? Okay, so for you guys who don't know what HOA is, I don't know either, but I would assume it's like something to protect dogs, right? Like some place to hold the dogs. Okay. I live in a somewhat upscale neighborhood. We pay $2,000 a year in HOA, which may not sound high to some, but it's high to me. Anyways, my backyard backs up to 3 other people's backyards, and none of us have a fence. My neighbor next door consistently and constantly plays fetch in our yard and other yards. The dog poops in our yard, and our neighbor doesn't bother to pick up after her. Alright, that's annoying and disgusting. Yeah, that's. I see the problem starting here. So we are forced to clean up after the dog. So you have to clean the shit off your neighbor's dog because he doesn't. That's weird. My daughter has stepped into its poop several times and once and once accidentally even rolled in it. So like a cartoon, right? She stepped on the poop and fell. Yeah. In my opinion, it is extremely disrespectful to play fetch with your dog in other people's yards. I agree. I've reported them to the HOA because I don't have a good relationship with these neighbors, and frankly, I'm afraid of confrontation. I don't dislike dogs. I just dislike irresponsible dog owners. It's so frustrating. But now they are giving us a stank eye and still sending their dog to our yard. Ooh. Okay, so I think this is pretty basic. I think you are on the right for sure. You're not on the wrong for reporting the dog to the HOA. Of course, it's not the dog's fault because he doesn't think. But those neighbors are freaking annoying. And yeah, they need a lesson. And it's normal that they are confronting you now or giving you this stank eye. Alright, next story. Would I be in the wrong for asking my daughter's boyfriend to stop having dinner with us? Ooh, that's a heavy one. My daughter, 21, has been dating this guy, 24, for 2 years. It's fairly serious. He's from Mexico and has been in the US since he was 3 years old. So he's basically American, right? He has a strange phobia of not wanting anyone to see him eat. And it's real. What? That's weird. I've literally never seen this kid put a bite of food in his mouth, despite spending a fair amount of time around him. He is thin, but doesn't look unhealthy. Okay, so I think we got a pretty clear image of the problem until now. So he has a phobia of not wanting anyone to see him eat. So he eats hidden. Okay, that's weird, but it's a phobia. We have to respect it. Okay, let's keep going. The problem is, he will take them out to dinner occasionally for holidays or special occasions. What? The problem is, he will take them out to dinner occasionally for holidays or special occasions. He always orders a full meal. He will cut up the food, push it around on a plate, but not eat any of it. Then, after the meal, he will donate his leftovers to someone else. It's even worse when I make home-cooked meals and they come to dinner. He does the same thing, takes a full plate of food, pushes it around, cuts it up, makes it look messed with, but doesn't eat any of it. Then, he will scrape all the food into the trash can afterwards. That's just so bizarre, man. It reminds me of me when I was a kid. Not at this level, of course, but like my mom always used to force me to eat a lot, even when I wasn't hungry anymore. So I would do the exact same thing, right? I would eat a little bit, then, cut the food, make it look messy, and finally, when she was not seeing, I would put everything on the trash can. But not at this level, of course. I used to eat, and I didn't have a problem with people seeing me eat. This is just the peak, the ultimate level of weirdness. I'm starting to get enraged over this. He wastes an horrendous amount of food, and I can't stand the money wasted when we buy him expensive restaurant meals that go completely uneaten. Then don't! Then don't buy him expensive restaurant meals. It has even caused a few scenes, with waiters asking him what's wrong or if they need to change his order, etc. I've talked to my daughter privately and said that if he doesn't want to eat, that's fine. Just tell him to stop taking plates of food and ordering in restaurants. Okay, yeah. She's right here. Like, she's right. He could be a little bit more self-aware of his own actions because it's crazy. Her response was, but in his culture, it's rude for him not to take food. I'm not asking him to do that. What culture? Mexican? He lived 3 years in Mexico, from 0 to 3 years old. Then he came to America and he's 24. What culture? Does that exist in Mexico? That culture? But I find it so rude that he is willing to keep wasting our money. Food isn't cheap. That's true. Will I be the asshole for just announcing that he's no longer invited to meals? Okay. So, until the half of the story, I was on his side. Because, if he doesn't want to eat, that's fine. And you just have to respect his decision, right? But if he literally, after being warned about it, refuses to go to the places and not order any food because he says that it's a lack of respect to not order food on restaurants, that's just weird. Why doesn't he just start paying his own food? Like, that would solve the problem. He could go with you to restaurants, and instead of wasting your money because he doesn't eat anything, he will just pay for his own food and waste his own money. And then everything will be fine. I think that's the best solution. All right, next story. Am I in the wrong for having people over the house when my wife returned from her trip? On Sunday, my 36-year-old wife returned from a 5-day trip with her friends. She returned at about 12 p.m., and at that time, I was having some friends over, and we were supposed to go to the basketball game afterwards. Luckily, the airport isn't too far away, so I dropped her off at the house at about 12:40. We stayed for roughly 25 minutes and then left to the game. None of us had actually been to a basketball game before, so I was kind of excited. We have kids, but I picked them up after the game was over from my sister's house. In that time, my wife took a nap and got food, so I thought it was a win-win. She got upset because we haven't seen one another in 5 days, and the kids weren't home, so that was a good opportunity for us to catch up on what? I really don't know. Okay, that's what she said, and that's what you said, okay. I mean, I apologized, but I expressed that I thought her reasoning was kinda senseless. I probably should have left it at the apology part because she seemed very annoyed towards me after that. Am I in the wrong? I mean, no. I think the only thing where you could have probably done better was, just staying by the apology part instead of saying that her reasoning was senseless. Because I think that was unnecessary. But the rest, you were in the right. Your wife came back from trip and you had some friends over and wanted to go to the basketball game. There's nothing wrong with that. And if she was, a mature adult, she would understand that. And she'll also understand that you could be together later on that day after the game and catch up on whatever, right? So I don't think there's a reason for her to be mad. But hey, woman, right? Oh shit. I'm so sorry. All right, next story. And this one's very long, so yeah, let's go. Am I the asshole? Okay, so the title of the story is Am I the asshole? The old man on the train. Alright, so when I go to work, I always travel first class. 3 weeks ago, I had a chest operation due to complications. I am not allowed to lift weight over 2.5 kilograms the first 2 weeks, and I was still sore and not allowed to lift anything heavy. I was carrying my heavy backpack and had an extra heavy bag for work, which was already strenuous. The train happened to be just one carriage instead of two, so even though I traveled first class, most seats were taken. So I scooted over to the window seat and put my bags on the ground between my legs. Figured this was better than keeping a bag on the seat like another guy in first class was doing. Okay. This older man, he has no visible mobility problems, stands next to me and says something. Me, having on my headphones and scrolling in reels, mumble, sure, sure, thinking he wants to sit down, and he does. He then complains to me, can you move your bags, please? Ooh, I feel tension. I feel tension. Airplane stories are always so funny because there's always like one side that is completely right and the other that is completely wrong. But we'll see. I couldn't pick up the bags from the ground because they get stuck on the back of the seats in front of us. And it's heavy. So I say, sir, as you can see, my bags are really full, and put my headphones back on. He starts speaking, so I remove my headphones again, and he tells me I have a dirty look, implying I am dirty. What? I have a bad personality and slash or I look like a bitch. That went from 0 to 20 to 1,000 so quickly. What? So I feel stung by his comment and snap back, well, so are you, which is an amazing response for a fourth grader. Oh my god. This is so ridiculous. He opens his mouth to argue, so I interrupt him and say, let's keep calm. It's a long train ride. And I put my headphones back on. Okay. I'm sorry for calling you a fourth grader. That was really mature. That was probably the best thing you could have said to not escalate the situation. Obviously, he doesn't stop, so I remove the headphones again, and he says, I would rather move than sit next to a nasty, mean person like you, and moves away. So I reply with a sarcastic, ciao. Happy the problem was solved. Alright, the ciao gets me there. That's an amazing one. The guy he's now sitting next to asks him, are you okay? Like he has empathy for him and wants to show that he's on his side. Okay. Is this gonna turn into a 2v1? We'll see. Honestly, I was baffled. I had tried my best to keep a free seat. The next person to sit next to me had no problem with me, even though they were a bigger person. I didn't say anything worse than him, but I realized I was short and snappy because I was annoyed. I always let the seat next to me available for others to sit for the rest of the ride. He occasionally moves to glare at me from between the seats, literally having to bend forward to look at me. This old man is always on my train and always buys a second class ticket, but sits in first class even though second class is empty. I know this because he always discusses with the train manager that it's only for a few stops, which I never even cared about since it was not my problem. Okay. But this situation really rattled me. I could have been nicer, but I don't feel like I was more rude to him than he was to me. Am I in the wrong here? No. Literally and simply no. you were not in the wrong. And you actually responded pretty well. You were able to keep calm and deal with the situation pretty well. And he was, of course, in the wrong. Because you don't owe him nothing, right? You paid for your ticket, you're living your life. You don't owe him anything. He's just an annoying old man, probably frustrated with his own life. Yeah, that happens a lot. Alright, next story. Am I the wrong one for offering a frozen dinner to an uninvited guest at a dinner party? Alright, by the title, you are, but we'll see. A couple times a year, I like to throw a nice dinner party for old friends. This time, I invited 5 people. 2 were couples, and 1 was single. We have all known each other for around 15 years and get together maybe every 3 months. I was making filet mignon and a small lobster tail with 2 sides. Ooh, that's good. I spent over $300 and didn't buy extra because they are served on each per guest and are expensive. As a surprise to me, the single guest brought along his new girlfriend, who I had not met or known about. I was nice about it, but upset because I only purchased enough meat and lobster tail for the guests who were invited. Okay, that makes sense. I talked to the friend who bought the uninvited guest and said that I didn't have extra food, and the filet mignon cooked to individual donuses and lobster tail isn't something that can be cut up and divided or spread out between more people, and said that I had frozen pizza or another frozen dinner I could heat up. He was very upset with me and accused me of not liking his new girlfriend and trying to embarrass them. After his outburst, they left. Thank God they left, bro. Like, who actually gets to that conclusion? He's a grown adult, from what I can see, and you explained the situation so well. And even after all that, he got to that stupid conclusion that you were trying to humiliate him and his girlfriend. That's crazy. You should be glad he left. Was I wrong? Should I have cut up the fillet and lobster tails and spread it out between an extra person instead of offering a frozen meal? I didn't think of them splitting their plates at the time. I have ADHD, so I have some issues with changes in plans and multitasking. Anyway, another friend of mine messaged me tonight saying that the friend that brought the uninvited girlfriend had been arguing with her before the dinner. So that is a part of the reason he was upset and quick to leave. Okay, so he left not because he felt embarrassed by what you said, but because the climate between him and the girlfriend wasn't already the best, so he decided to leave. Okay, that makes more sense. That shows me he's not a freaking child on a 30-year-old body, which is great for him. But still, no, you're not in the wrong. You're totally right. Like, you couldn't guess he was bringing a girlfriend. He should have told you with anticipation, right? So no, you didn't do anything wrong. All right, story number 8. So this title is pretty confusing for me, but I guess I'll probably understand it better after reading the story carefully. So the title is, am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend he can clean up the house even though it is not up to his high standards? That's confusing, but let's read the story. My boyfriend and I have lived together for 7 months. He worked 4 days a week for 10 hours per day, plus he usually works overtime 1 day a week for 6 hours. His commute takes 30 minutes in the morning and about an hour at night. I work from home 5 days a week, 7 hours per day. No commute, obviously. We split all expenses 50-50 and make about the same amount of money, if that matters. Yeah, I think it matters. Because I have more free time, I do the majority of cleaning, cooking, shopping, etc. I also take care of feeding and walking the dog usually. My boyfriend really enjoys a very clean house. My issue is that he will come home or get up on the weekend and start pointing out the things that are dirty, like the stove top is dirty from cooking the night before, or there are crumbs on the other counter. He tells me that I have to sweep and clean the whole kitchen, including the stove top, every day. Ooh, yeah, leave him. Straight up. When I explain that I am doing some cleaning every day and that I don't have time to do everything if I have to clean the whole kitchen every day, he tells me I'm making excuses. Well, yes, you're making excuses, but they're completely valid. Like, why does the fact that you're making excuses turn the excuses non-valid? I never understood that on people. If when they say, "Oh, you're making excuses," yes, I am, but why does that make the excuses invalid or insignificant? If I explain all the things I've done in the last 2 days, for example, to show that I'm using my time to get things done, he says I'm getting defensive. I told him he can do any cleaning that he feels I'm not doing, and he got pissed. He told me he wishes he had the free time I have, and if he did, it would be very easy for him to do all the tasks he's demanding me to do. So, because of that, I should be able to do them as well, with no problem. So, am I in the wrong for this? No, definitely not. If I were you, I would just straight away leave him, like no questions asked. It sounds really toxic and controlling, and yeah, I don't think he respects you. That's that's how I see it. That's probably how most people see it by reading this. But yeah, another cool story, I guess, right? Alright, another one. And this one looks crazy just for the title as well. So the title is, Would I be the asshole for not going to my nephew's funeral? Well, that's heavy. But probably not. Let's read the story. My adult nephew passed away as a result of a horrific accident. His funeral is in 2 days before my birthday, and that's not why I'm considering not going. The reason why I'm considering not going is because I live out of the state, and my mom and stepdad will be putting me up. My stepdad hates all of my mother's kids, but specifically me. I went to school, did therapy, two things he felt were the biggest wastes of time. School? He thought school was a waste of time? Okay, he's a he's a ooga booga. He's a caveman. Not to mention that I stood up to him when he was being a colossal dickwad. Regardless, I did not leave that home unscathed, and I am still undoing trauma from it. My stepdad likes to poke and poke and poke until he gets a rise out of me, and then acts like he is the victim. I spent 7 years living with him and my mom, who never took my side, and by the end, I was suffering from SI. Okay, this is actually heavy. I don't want to deal with him in any capacity. I told my mom I wasn't able to make it to the funeral, and she said she understood, and my sister would too, but I don't really feel that to be true. Would I be wrong for being unable to suck it up for my sister and not go? Okay, we got an update, so let's read. Update. I just called my sister and spoke to her for about half an hour and told her I didn't think I could make it. I did not mention my issues with my stepdad, just that I personally didn't have the money for a plane ticket. She said that she understood. I'm going to send a floral arrangement to the funeral home for me. The flowers are about $30, which I can swing. Okay. So, you're not in the wrong at all. That stepdad looks like a freaking bastard and a totally disgusting human being. But yeah, that's unfortunately way more normal than it should be. But yeah, you don't have to deal with him in any capacity, just like you said you didn't want to. You are allowed to live your life like you want and stay away from that monster from that asshole, right? So no, you're not in the wrong. I'm so sorry you are gonna have to miss your nephew's funeral because of that guy. But no, you're totally right. Am I the wrong one for refusing to follow my friend's parents' house rules and leaving? My 32-year-old boyfriend and I have been together since high school. I'm 23. For almost 6 years. We just moved in together after I graduated in May. We're not officially engaged yet, but planning to get married once he finishes grad school. An old friend from high school invited us to his family beach house for the holiday last weekend. When we got there Friday, we realized his mom and dad were spending the weekend too, which was fine, it's their house, and they seemed to have their own plans for the weekend. They were happy to let us do our own thing during the days, and they had drinks in the hot tub with us Friday evening, and they were actually really cool. But that night, when my boyfriend and I started getting ready for bed, our friend's mom pulled me aside and said that my boyfriend would need to sleep on the couch in the living room instead of with me in the guest room because we weren't married. Oh my god, that's crazy. I mean, she better have an actual good reason for that. If not, well, you just have to leave. Like, you're allowed to leave. You're allowed to do wherever you want with your life. You know, she has to respect that. If she doesn't, you just leave. Unless, of course, she has an actual good reason that will make you still want to stay. But let's keep reading. I have trouble sleeping in new places, and sleeping next to my boyfriend helps. My boyfriend also was annoyed, and he had to sleep on an uncomfortable couch when there's a perfectly good bed. So we decided it would be the best to get an hotel in town and meet up with our friend the next morning. When we told our friend, he was kind of weird about it, but said okay. So we left and checked into our hotel. The next morning, we called to see what time our friend wanted to meet up. He seemed mad and said that he couldn't hang out and that his mom and dad had flipped out at him for letting us go to a hotel and said we didn't appreciate their hospitality. Holy shit. Our friend texted us today, Monday, saying he was really angry that we couldn't have slept apart for 2 nights just to make his parents happy, and that we won't be invited for Friendsgiving this year. So, are we the wrong ones for leaving and getting our own place? Well, I think on this one, I am going to say yes. I think that 2 nights, it's just 2 nights, right? You're not gonna die because of it. And of course, leaving would make the whole situation very awkward, and we still decided to do so. I think you could have actually made a sacrifice to sleep separately, see each other during the entire day, and then just split apart at night to not create that awkwardness and, yes, make their parents happy. I think you didn't have to, of course, and the path you decided to take, it's not completely wrong, but I would have done different. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, another interesting story, I guess. Let's keep going. This one is also really long, so let's dive into it. Am I the asshole for refusing to give up my wife's van to her father while she's away, leaving me and our kids with no vehicle? I recently sold my car and am currently waiting for a new vehicle to arrive. My wife owns a van. She already paid 5 out of the 6 parts of it, though her father contributed with $10,000 toward the $60,000 total cost. I did not contribute financially to the van itself. However, I pay for 95% of our household expenses, including our mortgage, utilities, school fees, and our domestic helper, while my wife covers groceries. My wife is currently away on a work trip. Her father asked to borrow her van this weekend. His plan is to take it Friday and then pass it along to my wife's brother and his family from Saturday evening to Sunday night. The issue is that this timeline directly clashes with mine. With my wife away, I need a van to manage our side business tasks and, more importantly, to drive our kids around on Saturday and Sunday. Furthermore, I am highly reluctant to loan the vehicle to her brother. He contributes nothing to the van and has an history of returning it with an empty tank, rarely paying for petrol or cash cards unless forced to. On top of this, my father-in-law intensely dislikes me or my side of the family using the van. On top of this, my father-in-law intensely dislikes me or my side of the family using the van. In the past, when we stayed with my parents and they borrowed the van with my wife's explicit approval, my father-in-law would get incredibly angry if he found out, despite my wife owning the van and giving the permission. When my wife called to tell me her dad was coming to pick up the keys, I raised my concerns and explained I needed the vehicle for our kids. She immediately lashed out, telling me not to give her a hard time. She asked why I couldn't just take public transport with the kids instead. When I reminded her that I historically used my own car to drive her around, she called me a leecher for using her van now. The argument escalated, and she started bringing up unrelated past financial issues. Specifically, she accused me of only paying 3/4 of our second daughter's pregnancy expenses, though the remaining 1/4 was fully covered by her own MediSafe account. She also brought up that I did not buy her a push present, whatever that is. I don't know what that is, but okay. I feel that since she's away, the priority for a family vehicle should be ensuring our own kids have transportation, rather than leaving us to take public transport so her brother can use it for free. She feels I'm being difficult and disrespecting her family. What do you guys think? Well, yeah, I think you're in the right, man. Like, you pay for 95% of the expenses on the house, including the mortgage, which is not cheap. I think you have all the arguments to your favor, but still, sometimes you just have to accept and not get affected by it. But yeah, it's a annoying situation. Good luck for you, man. Alright, next story. Would I be the wrong one for possibly being the reason my employer's company fails? Hell of a title, I know. For some context, I've been employed since the virus with this small company within a niche market manufacturing, refurbing, repairing, and maintaining lab robotics and other equipment nationwide and internationally. Damn. We were a company of 15 people at one point, but ever since business started declining over 2 years ago, we've quickly shrunk to a company of 3 or 4 including myself. My position within this company is the sole remaining field service provider, and at least for the last year and a half, we've only had service visits and contracts providing any income. I have been looking for other employment since our major decline 2 years ago, but every time I get an offer, my current employer counter-offers proportionally, and I hear through the grapevine of our company owner stated that if I leave, they may as well shut everything down. And so I have stayed, due to them being able to match, and a kind of moral shitty feeling that if I move, the company collapses. That is, until recently. The summer and early fall seasons have always been our slowest for business, which means less incoming cash flow. Myself and the 2 other employees still with the company are over a month and a half without pay, going on 2 months. This isn't unique either. This is a revolving 3 to 4 pays over the course of several months. The owner had an emergency meeting with us, and there, he admitted there has never really been a reserve of money to handle a situation like this, and that they are not working to resolve it. They even sold their personal assets a month ago to try and keep the company running and provide at least one to pay us. It comes down to this. While this has all been going on, I have still been taking on interviews and finally landed a job offer. I want to at least provide my 2 weeks notice because the owner has been good to me over my time working here, and they have taught me a lot. However, I am terrified that if I bring it up before they figure out to pay, I may never see a dime if they end up closing everything down at that point. So I also don't really want to bring it up until I hear an update that things have been pushed through. So, would I be the asshole if my boss's company fails when I leave and don't give them proper notice before moving on? No. I mean, your boss's company is your boss's responsibility. You have a family that you have to provide to, and you have to eat, and you have to take care of your own life, right? So I think you don't owe anything to your boss. Actually, he owns you money. So you have to make sure you get the payment you deserve. And then you are totally free to live your life and to go chase best job offers if they appear, right? But it's a complicated situation to be in. This one also looks interesting for the title. Am I the asshole for making my kid call the coach to tell him that she is quitting? My kid is a quitter. She wants to try a sport, realizes she doesn't like it, and then wants to quit. This happens with basically everything she tried: hobbies, commitments, and so on. It is a frustrating habit that I can't get her to kick. Okay, I think calling your kid a quitter just like that, it's a little bit too much because it's a child. And children don't know what they like, they don't know anything. They're here to learn. They are still understanding what the world is. So I think giving them that role of a quitter when it's just a child doing its best to, you know, be happy and enjoy what she's doing, I think that's too much. But hey, who am I, right? Who am I to open it? Let's keep going. If I force her to keep doing the activity, then it is a miserable time for everyone. She has a big stubborn streak and will try to make it everyone's problem. I have forced her to finish things before it's just not a fun time for anyone. My daughter is 12 and wanted to join cross country for the summer. Well, now that it's hot, she doesn't wish to do it anymore. That's the reason she gave, and wishes to quit the team. I told her no, and that it will get cooler, but she is admit she is done. Yesterday night for practice was not fun. She complained constantly and forgot her water, but luckily a friend had some extra. I told her that if she wants to quit, then she can call the coach's number and tell him herself. She hates talking on the phone. She feels anxious when she has to, and because of that, she refuses to call him herself. That has been the running deal, and she's just upset. My ex is kind of pissed at me for this, and is claiming I'm being a dick, and that I can call the coach's number instead of making my kid do it. Am I the wrong for wanting my kid to call the coach's number instead of me? I don't know, man. I actually just don't feel like opinionating on this one, and I have free will to do it or to not do it. So yeah, uh, that's the story. Let's just move on, I guess. We're almost at the end. Am I in the wrong for refusing to let my friend use my new camera after he damaged my old one and didn't pay for it? No, straight up. If he did that, you're not in the wrong. But let's read the story. I'm 26. I do videography and have invested a lot into my gear over time. About a year ago, a friend of mine asked to borrow my camera for a shoot. I agreed, even though I was a bit hesitant. When he returned it, there were issues. The lens mount was loose and the body had scratches. He admitted something might have happened but didn't go into detail. I had to pay to get it fixed. He said he'd help cover the cost, but never actually did. Recently, I upgraded my gear and bought a new camera. The same friend reached out again, asking to borrow it for another project. This time, I said no. I explained that I was not comfortable lending it out again, especially after what happened last time, and since I never got reimbursed. He got upset and said I was being unfair and holding something small against him. He also said friends are supposed to help each other out and that I'm acting like I don't trust him. I told him it's not about trust anymore. It's about the fact that I ended up paying for the damage he caused and never followed through on paying me back. Now my cousin, who is his girlfriend, is saying I could have just set stricter rules and asked for a deposit instead of outright refusing. I feel like I'm being reasonable, but I'm wondering if I'm being too rigid. Am I the wrong one for refusing to let him borrow my new camera? No. You're being manipulated. Like, you're not being manipulated because you're not falling into it, but they are literally trying to manipulate you. Like, it's just crazy. If he really wants to borrow your new camera, he has to pay for the last one, something that he didn't do. Even though you already fixed it, he has to pay you the value it cost you to fix it. And if I were you, I would ask him to give you a certain amount of money just to make sure that if he somehow breaks the camera, he pays for it. That for me would be like the best possible scenario. But you're still totally right for not letting him borrow the new camera. Like, you're on your right. Like, no more comments. And just like that, we get to the last story of this video. It's also decently long, so let's dive into it. Am I the asshole for not defending my wife when my sister called her fat? Okay, we are finishing off with a drama. My sister, 27-year-old female, was visiting my wife, 32 years old, and me, 33, the other day. An important thing to note about my sister is that she has a child, 5 years old, with her now ex-boyfriend. When my sister found out she was pregnant, she told her then boyfriend that she was pregnant. He wanted to marry her, but my sister said no. The only information she offered up was that there is no way they will be compatible in long term. And I don't think it's any of my business to probe or question her about it. Soon after, my sister and her boyfriend broke up, but they established a healthy co-parenting relationship, and both now have a 50-50 custody with stable, well-paying jobs, and live close by to see each other. My wife strongly thinks that my sister should have gotten married, and hates that my sister refers to her ex-boyfriend as her baby daddy. Yo, that's weird, not gonna lie. I don't think my sister really cares that she had a child out of wedlock. But every time my wife meets my sister, she brings up the fact that she should try to get her boyfriend back and ask him to propose again, and asks why she does not want to marry him. Especially since my sister has been single these past 5 years. It has gotten to a point that she has told me privately that she is fed up with this and has asked me to speak to my wife about this, which I have. Holy, I smell drama. The other day, my sister visited my wife and I at our house. We were having a normal conversation, and my sister was talking about her son entering kindergarten and all the ways she was preparing him. The convo seemed pretty mundane, until my wife once brought up that my sister should try to get married and the courthouse with her boyfriend, actually ex-boyfriend, and that the other parents would view her as immature. Before I could even jump in and say anything to defuse the situation, my sister was raging and said that my wife should worry about her fat self and losing 100 pounds before worrying about her child, and that a ring can't hide her triple chin, and to worry less about her going into the courthouse and more about the gym. Oh, shit. That's a double hook to the chin right there. Literally to the chin. That's a jab, a hook, and a full knockout. That's crazy. My wife has always been on the bigger side. I love how he's calling her wife fat without actually calling her fat. Like, he's trying his best to be respectful, but still not being able to do so because you can't be respectful while saying something like this. My my wife has always been on the bigger side, and I absolutely love and adore her. But it is one of her biggest insecurities. She ended up sobbing while my sister grabbed her things and left. This whole argument took around 2 minutes, and I froze up and didn't really know what to do. After my sister left, my wife asked why I didn't say anything to defend her to my sister. I was honest and said I thought that she was wrong for calling my sister immature and her child illegitimate. Okay, I agree. While I acknowledge it was wrong for my sister to make the comments she did, I don't think they were completely unprovoked. My wife is now giving me the silent treatment. So, Reddit, am I the wrong one in this situation? No, you're not. As simple as that. You're not the wrong one in this situation. We're talking about your wife and your sister. You care about both, not equally, but you care about both. And if your wife does something wrong, you don't have to defend her just because it's your wife. You gotta stand by the right side, which in this case it's obviously your sister's. Alright, I think that's all for today. A bunch of great stories, really a lot of drama, and this is how the house looks. I like to build all my houses pink in Minecraft, and I think it looks pretty cool, pretty comfy. Of course, that I plan on improving it even more and more to make it look bigger. I also plan on rebuilding this whole village, like to my likings. But that's gonna be for another video. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, if you stayed until the end, consider subscribing my channel. I would really appreciate that. And yeah, bye.